Welcome to Behind the Line, where we pull back the curtain on the challenges facing first responders and frontline workers. The work you do is unique, and so are the stresses that go with it. Join me as we tackle key issues to reduce risks for burnout, and as we work to support you in doing the job you love without sacrificing being the kind of person you want to be. Hey there, and welcome back to Behind the Line. I'm your host, Lindsay Faas. If you're new to Behind the Line, what you should know about me is that I'm a clinical counselor specializing in trauma therapy. And after over a decade working with first responders and frontline workers around issues like burnout, compassion fatigue, PTSD, and related OSIs, I've become a passionate wellness advocate and educator for those who sacrifice so much for our communities out on the front lines. Behind the Line is a place for us to talk about the real life behind the scenes challenges facing you on the front lines. I created this podcast with the hope of bringing easy access to skills for wellness, allowing you to find greater sustainability both on the job and off. Today we are wrapping up our May Minis series, and we have done this whole series both on our regular audio podcast format as well as a video format on YouTube. It's the first time, you guys, that I've stepped out of my comfort zone and put myself on camera. It's a big deal, and I hope for those of you who have watched that you haven't been too disappointed. We are going to wrap up this series talking about 2 things that you can do to help your brain when it is feeling a lot of overwhelm. And that's kind of been the theme of our May Mini series, is trying to promote really little easy wins that we can start working at that add up and accrue to something really meaningful for us. So for today, I want to talk about a little bit how your brain works for just a second. And I know that sometimes I get really into that and that it can kind of feel heady and hard to track, but stick with me for a minute. If you think about how your brain is wired, your brain has 2 halves, right? Right side, left side. We know that our right side of our brain controls the left half of our body and vice versa. Left side of our brain controls the right half of our body. What you may not know is that the 2 halves of your brain actually work fairly isolated from one another. And they're only connected by a small bundle of nerves that runs through the center that is like a relay station for everything that happens on either side, okay? So your corpus callosum, that relay station, that bundle of nerves, its job is to shuttle information back and forth and communicate across hemispheres. Now, just like any relay station, when we're putting a lot of information in, we're asking it to do a lot of jobs simultaneously. And at some point, that relay station can get pretty overloaded and backlogged. And so we can have a hard time kind of like utilizing the full resource of what our brain has to offer because that bundle of nerves is getting overloaded. It's getting bombarded with too many things. And it has difficulty doing that relay job fast enough for what we're asking it to do. When we are in high stress, this tends to be a more significant issue. And so when we're experiencing things like panic, really high stress, feeling really overwhelmed, one of the things that we can do is try to help our corpus callosum and our hemispheres kind of force information through. And so there's 2 activities I'm going to give you today that can help to do that. Behind the Line is sponsored by Beating the Breaking Point. Beating the Breaking Point is a 7-part online training program designed specifically for first responders and frontline workers and tailored to fill the gaps in your training to support resilience and sustainability. Whether you're new to the work and wanting to cultivate tools to prevent burnout, compassion fatigue, and related concerns, or you are deep into your years on the job and have gone a few rounds with burnout and other mental health challenges, this program offers the foundational pieces you need to support personal and professional wellness for the long haul. You are a helper. You love your work and you sacrifice a lot. Investing in you and your sustainability is the best gift you can give yourself and those who lean on you. We make this program as risk-free as possible by offering a limited money-back guarantee to ensure that it's a fit for you. If you enjoy Behind the Line, you are going to love this program. Google Beating the Breaking Point Lindsay and find everything you need to get started. or use the link in the show notes. Now, back to the episode. They're both based on the idea of bilateral stimulation, which is actually something really connected to EMDR if you're familiar with that therapy intervention. This isn't an EMDR specific thing. It's not a therapy specific thing. It's just a thing that we know helps to work and has been adapted into EMDR's protocols. So if you're familiar with that or have experienced that before, you may be familiar with this idea. So bilateral stimulation, one of the ways we can do it is something called butterfly hug. So essentially what you're going to do is you're going to cross your hands one over the other. So left hand is on your right shoulder and right hand is on your left shoulder. And you are just tapping one hand at a time back and forth. So right hand, left hand, right hand, left hand, right hand, left hand, right hand, left hand. And again, for those who are listening and not watching and can't see me doing it, my right hand is crossed over to my left shoulder. My left hand is crossed over to my right shoulder. And I'm just tapping back and forth from one side to the other. Ideally, our tapping is going to be at the rate of about your resting heart rate. Our goal is to try to help our brain kind of mirror that pace and bring down our physiology when we feel kind of overwhelmed. But actually why this is working is because, again, it's really hard work for my right side of my brain to control the left side of my body when the left side of my body is tapping on the right side of my body, which is then being felt and relayed through the left side of my brain. I'm asking my whole brain to work on this one task. Any physiological task that requires us to cross our extremities or some part of us over the midline is actually really hard for our brain. I know it doesn't look hard, but it is hard in terms of a neurophysiological task that my brain is being asked to do. So again, anytime that I have my arms or legs cross, where my brain is having to keep track of the fact that my right hemisphere is controlling my left hand, but my left hemisphere is picking up that left hand on the right side of my body because that's where it's tapping and touching. It's forcing my brain to do a lot of like integrative work. And that's what helps your relay system kind of go like, oh man, we got to figure this out. We got to figure out how we coordinate these two distinct hemispheres because they're having to work together to do this task. Okay. What that does is it lets your corpus callosum kind of like open up the floodgates and let other stuff through. Yeah. Which helps your brain kind of have a greater sense of like global resourcing working together. So again, we can do this on our shoulders, right hand, right on left side, left hand on right side. We can also do this on our legs. So again, you can have your right hand on your left knee, left hand on your right knee, and kind of tap back and forth that way. Same kind of idea, right? And again, tapping kind of audibly, right? So not just like really light, but like actually able to be heard. And trying to tap at a pace that feels in alignment with about a resting heart rate. So that is bilateral stimulation. That's the thing that you can try. The other thing that you can try that's actually similarly connected, and I'm just going to move a little bit in my chair so I can demonstrate it, is called the cross crawl. And so really same idea. We're just trying to help things come across the midline. So I'm going to raise, I'm sitting in a chair. You can do this sitting or standing. I'm going to do it sitting for today. You're sitting in a chair. I'm going to bring my left knee up to meet my right elbow. And the goal is to kind of make a bit of a line, like a slash across my body. And then I'm setting it down. And then I'm bringing my right knee up to my left elbow. And then I'm setting it down. Okay? So I'm going to do that repeatedly. Left elbow to right leg, down. Right elbow to left leg, down. And keep it going for a few reps, okay? Again, the goal is just to force my brain to have this sense of cross connection between hemispheres by moving opposing parts of my body and making them work together. Anytime we're doing that, we're asking both hemispheres to fire up and work in coordination with one another, which forces other things to integrate simultaneously, yeah? You can do the same activity standing up where, again, you're just bringing either your left hand or elbow, if you want to make it more difficult, to your knee and then setting it back down, right hand or elbow to your knee and then setting it back down. Okay? I know that some of these things can look like they're stupid simple, like they can't possibly do anything meaningful. But I promise if you use them consistently, they can actually be really meaningful. Give them a try. Let me know how it goes. I would love to hear from you on social media or shoot me an email. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Lindsay A. Faas, or you can shoot me an email at support@thrive-life.ca. I love hearing from you guys. I love hearing how these things go for you. Even if you're like, that was weird, I don't know if I like it. Fair game. Send me that. Tell me about it. I would love to know how these pieces work in terms of what it means for your day-to-day life and how it helps or doesn't help and what you're doing to adapt it. I also just want to thank those of you who are working really hard at helping us to promote these resources and promote wellness for those who work so hard on the front lines. You guys bend over backwards to help make our communities a better place. You sacrifice a lot to help the communities that you serve. And we know that you deserve a lot better than what you tend to get. So thank you so much for helping us to promote the things that help give a little back to those of you who give so much. Until next time, you guys, stay safe.